Welcome to Business Talk, our weekly University of Rio Grande, Ohio State University South Center's podcast show. We are here at the University of Rio Grande TV studio. Not only are we doing live internet radio through Blog Talk Radio, but we're also live on the Jackson Educational Access channel and Channel 17, University of Rio Grande TV. Our podcasts are archived and placed on YouTube for viewing and listening again. Our mission is simple: to promote the University of Rio Grande and its diverse education programs, promote the Ohio State University South Centers and its many business technology programs, promote small business and its support organizations, and finally promote Southern Ohio, a great place to live, learn, and enjoy life to the fullest. Co-hosts are Jason Winters, who is on a short trip in Indonesia, Director of the Center for Small Business Entrepreneurship, and Mike Thompson, Instructional Design and Media Services Director, both with the University of Rio Grande. We also have Patrick Dengel, Business Development Specialist, and Kimberly Roush, Program Assistant, both with the Ohio State University South Centers. And we have myself, MBA student Nate Walzer, as co-host, and on camera we have Justin. This week, we'll be featuring Patrick Dengel, Business Development Specialist with the Ohio State University South Centers in Piketon. He will be discussing podcasts and how they are used to develop marketing strategies. Welcome, Pat.
Well, thank you for asking me to be a part of the show. We've been doing podcasts for the last 2+ years. We've had 122 shows, and our podcasts are YouTube through the magic of Mike. We are on the radio. We've had close to
7 million viewers, probably.
Well, I'd like to think it was 7 million viewers, but we've had close to 12,000 hits. 12,000 people have listened to either our 1 minute, our 5 minute, our 30 minute. And we found that our podcasts have been of value, or at least I would like to think it's been of value. What I wanted to do is we're starting to get requests not only from...
To stop?
No.
Okay.
Actually, we've been starting to get requests from different companies and businesses and owners. Perhaps they should do a podcast. And, Nate, 5 years ago, podcasts were a different kind of animal. Primarily, it comes from the Apple iPods, where you can download music. And as all different kinds of technology has come about, next thing you know, we start getting into radio, internet radio, and we get into educational programs. For instance, Ohio State University, Ohio University, podcast lectures. And they have been showing that students listen to the same lectures 2 or 3 times. And so it has developed into a major industry to where individual businesses, individual organizations, individual educational institutions have taken a strong look at the podcast and said, we ought to do this. And we're just fortunate that we started this about 2.5 years ago, and we found it to be of great value, but more importantly, it has been a great value to the students. So,
when I was at the National Association of Broadcasters convention a few years ago, I'd been there several times before, and a lot of that was dedicated to broadcasting. You looked at basically TV, AM, FM transmitters and that kind of thing. And what struck me, at the last one that I was at, was the transmitter field and all that is dwindling. And it was all about really any way that you can get the message to a person, whether they're streaming on their iPod, it's just the methods of delivery seem to be endless. So this is just true. One of those.
Yes, that is so true. My wife is Wanda is a second grade teacher, and she attended a technology conference last March. And one of the first classes that she was involved, or one of the seminar breakout sessions was on podcasting, and how it is becoming not a it's becoming commonplace. And they said all you need is an RSS feed. Well, we are seeing that there are many ways to do podcasts and many ways to get the word out, etc.
I mean, you talk about podcasts, and you can watch them on your iPods and all this stuff, but what is a podcast?
A good question. I had the opportunity to go online and sort of get a couple definitions, so I'm going to read here for a minute. Basically, it features an audio show with new episodes that are fed to computer, either sporadically or planned intervals, such as daily and weekly. Like for us with our podcasts, not only are we doing live radio, we are also on the Jackson Educational Access TV, and then through the magic of Mike, we're recording these on MP4 files and putting them on YouTube, so that way individuals can look and listen to the different educational programs that we have offered. So it's a broadcast that allows us to throw out information similar to a TV, similar to a radio show, to where we want to get certain points across.
But you're not bound by geography or time.
That is true.
You don't have to tune in at a certain point in time to a podcast or I don't know if you call this a video cast or a YouTube or whatever. Then you're not bound by anything. They can watch it, maybe, who knows, 5-10 years from now.
And like you said, anybody can have a podcast
Yes.
developing if you have the
That's right.
technology to do
Yes.
it.
Yes.
They'll look back at us. Oh boy, what
Yep.
a bunch of amateurs.
Well, when your great grandchildren, Nate, I don't have enough time to have great grandchildren. I don't think, etc. They'll be looking at you, going, "Boy, great grandpa,
You look good.
now you're all wrinkly." The other point, and Mike was very correct. We have had 148. Oh, let me drop it down to 143 countries that have touched one of our podcasts.
So it's a really good tool for a small community like Rio Grande to
Yes.
get information out to the rest of the world.
That is correct. That is correct. And it's also interesting that England is our second highest country that has listened. And I found out
Maybe
why.
because we speak English,
It could be.
or because of
be.
you. Maybe you're famous in England.
Most likely.
Yeah, it could very well be. I also found out that there's a University of Rio Grande in South America. And that when we have put on one of the mega tags, there have been individuals from, I want to say, Rio de Janeiro that have listened in, because perhaps that it just boggled my mind.
Mhm. They
because-
must get a rude awakening when they click that, and then they show this little studio here.
So, now, I know before you're going to ask me, tell me a little bit about myself, etc. I want you to know, Nate, that my undergraduate degree is in philosophy. And I have to date never acquired a paid position as a philosopher. And so on my bucket list, as we get older and wiser, etc., our bucket list gets smaller. I've always wanted to philosophize. So the next 5 minutes, I'm going to philosophize. And
Can we show that on TV?
nothing embarrassing.
Okay.
My wife obviously listens and watches the podcast on a continual basis.
Okay, she's the number one fan.
That's right. So it'll be nothing embarrassing to
I think
Wanda,
she's number
etc.
2, second to Justin.
But I want to philosophize a little bit. And the reason being is we really have to take a look at our society. You know that I truly believe we are teaching people to be convenient. In our society, because we have so many things, so many places, so much to do, so many tasks, etc., we look for convenience. That's why the shopping malls have changed from downtown cities to out into large shopping malls, because it's convenient to put all of the stores right there and free parking. In our society, we want to be entertained, and it's interesting. I was telling Justin back way before the turn of the century, we started out with 3 channels on our TV, and now what do we have? 50, 200 different channels.
Not limited.
Not limited. We can go on to the computer system, and we can see all different kinds. Have you ever seen those E-Trade baby commercials?
Mm-hmm.
You can go onto your phone and you can download those, and we can play games, and we can do all sorts of different things. We like to be entertained. We are a serious group, but we're also fun-loving.
Just like the kings of yore. Dance for me. Dance for me, Jester.
Our society has developed lean habits and the lean workforce.
When you say lean habits, what exactly are you
They
talking
lean
about?
against the wall.
Someone's got to hold the walls up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. The Japanese are extremely efficient in their manufacturing process. And one of the reasons why they're very efficient is the fact that they include a variety of different suggestions on way to do things better.
So it's like a philosophy of how to do less and produce more.
That's right. That's right. And we as a society have taken off of that. I'm quite sure you studied just-in-time inventory rather than companies having a large stockpile of inventory. They only get what they need for a short period of time. Well, it's the same way with our economy, as we are required to do more. Well, let's take Mike, for instance. Mike's job as a director is not just to direct. If somebody's light bulb goes out in a projector, who are they going to call?
It's got to be Mike.
It's
Yeah,
me.
it's going to be Mike.
The only guy that knows how to do that.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
And let's suppose Mike needs to repair some pieces of equipment here, and he's never seen that before. It's his job to learn how to do it and be able to do it and be willing to do it. He works with students on helping, like Justin. He helps students understand the whole technology behind putting on podcasts. And the point that I'm getting at is, as we continue in our society and it becomes more technology-based kind of work habits and things of that nature, we have to be lean.
Well, that started with the Industrial Revolution, where machines made it so you didn't have to have a huge crew. You could have a couple guys operating a machine, and now we have computerized machines that can run a bunch of machines from one guy. So
That's
it
right.
just keeps getting
That's right.
more efficient.
Yes, more efficient. And you know, the question comes down, is our economy losing a lot of jobs? No, it's our economy is gaining in strength, but those menial kinds of jobs that we started out in my age, where we would put one block onto another block, it's not there. And that's why there's a proliferation of educational programs to help individuals go past the redundancy. And so as we look at our lean habits in our workforce, etc., we are responsible not just for one, but for many. For instance, our funding sources, I have 6 different funding sources that I'm responsible to. I respond to the Ohio State University of Rio Grande collaboration, but also the Ohio State University Extension, Small Business Administration, USDA, as do all of us. And so we become lean, and we are required to do more with less, etc. Our society also is changing its educational marketing venues. I'm quite sure, Mike, we are doing things in here that when you first started, what wasn't available. But look at what we're doing now. A couple other things. Our society is, in my opinion, becoming more pampered and becoming unappreciative of what we have.
Well, it's all starting to revolve around the person.
That's right.
It used to be that I got to get home by 8 o'clock because, whatever show is going to be on. And now we can just record it and do what we want and watch it when we want.
That's right.
And everything serves me instead of me moving around everything else.
That's right. But we also have a lot of reality shows that show inappropriateness. I'm quite sure almost all of us have seen at least one Jerry Springer episode, or Bridezillas, or Girl Night Out, or
just name it. There's too many of them.
That's right, and it's inappropriate. I don't think my wife was a Bridezilla, or did a girls' night out, or I don't think she's ever been on Jerry Springer show.
Not yet.
You know of.
Of course, I'm not watching it. Our society is also teaching us critical thinking, and there's a problem to that. Critical thinking is where you get around a group and you discuss what the problems are. But rarely is those problems leading to solutions, and so consequently, we have been teaching people to critically analyze, this is good or this is bad. But how do you change? How do you make it better? Two more things. Our society is fear-based. Look at our nightly news. Oh my gosh, either the world's going to blow up or
with all the preppers,
yeah,
stealing away food, and
that's right,
buying guns and all that kind of thing.
Well, we only have till December 21st, so
right,
gotta get on it.
Yeah,
so charge up your cards and stuff,
And then the 22nd, people will be fearful.
Yeah. Oh crap! I gotta pay all that stuff back.
And finally, our society is becoming very litigious. Rarely, if I was just thinking about this coming to work. If I hit a deer, really, Department of Natural Resources should be sued, or the gun makers, because probably someone tried to shoot this deer and missed, and it was because of the gun sighting. I know I'm using these ridiculous examples, etc.
And your car should have had some sort of system to stop you.
Yes.
Or to scare it away.
That's right.
It really sounds like we're trying to blame everyone else but ourselves.
That's right. And so consequently, these are various different unique things about our society. And I just wanted to share that philosophy.
You just talked about a lot of points and everything that come up. To me, we went a little bit off track. What does any of this have to do with podcasts?
But it has a lot to do with it, and I'm glad that you asked that question. Podcasts have to be convenient. They have to be entertaining. They have to be of value, and you have to follow the business rules, organization rules. We have to be detail-orientated, and we have to follow a schedule. We have to be appropriate, and it has to be geared to the right audiences. And we have the responsibility to listen to criticism, but put it in its proper perspective. It would be nice if we did everything perfect. It would be nice if Mike had $3 million pieces of equipment where we would just shine. But
we can shine with that equipment.
That's right. But we have to put proper criticism in its rightful place. And we try never to criticize someone when we do a podcast. We never ridicule them because in essence, for the rest of our lives, when one does a podcast, it's going to be on there, and people will remember that.
And you don't know what challenges. You don't know. Everybody has a story. You don't know what their story is, where they've come from, or whatever. So it's somewhat unfair.
You're absolutely right. And
boy, do people like to criticize.
Yes, they do. And sometimes it's gets to the point where it really teaches individuals to keep their mouth shut and not take risks. And that's one of the things that I like about businesses is the fact that you really do have to take risks. And it's like with the podcast. We helped a organization in Scioto County start a podcast, which they did for 2 weeks. They had one show have 800 listeners.
Wow.
But it's not the end all kind of thing. It has to tie in with other kinds of promotions, and you don't do podcasts and forget about the other media services. What do we have? Around 18 different advertising groups that promote our kind of thing. We are promoting University of Rio Grande in Southern Ohio and Ohio State University South Centers, etc. We want the listening world to hear our message. Mm-hmm. We also want the people around our area to feel that we are a part of something bigger. If you are a convenience store that is selling gas and things of that nature, do you want the World Wide Web to know?
Absolutely.
Possibly, but it has to be tied in with other kind of marketing avenues and directions and things. And be quite frank with you, it really comes down to what our mission, our vision, and our branding is. Every week when we do our podcast show and our 5 minutes and when we get on the air, etc., we state first what our mission is. And if it's said often enough, people start to really believe it. It's interesting. We live up to the expectations of others. This is a true story. They have an educational program up in Cleveland, and in Cleveland, it was teaching kids how to weld. Now, this was back in the 1980s, way before your time. But they did a sort of a test, and most of the kids came from all different parts of Cleveland, and they had 2 really good instructors. And the kind of thing that they did, they took this one instructor, and they told the instructors nothing, that this was just a normal kind of thing, but they set it up. They told this one instructor, they said, "You will have the best group of kids we have ever seen. They're really talented. They're really capable of doing things. All you have to do is tell them once, because you're the best teacher for them." They then went to the other instructor and said, "I hate to tell you this, but you've got the worst of the worst kids. Boy, if any of them make it, we would be really surprised, etc. You're a really good teacher. Do whatever you can with them." And so for the next 8 weeks, the 2 classes, the interesting thing is both instructors didn't know that they just randomly picked those kids. And sure enough, the instructor who really believed in those kids, they all got A's, all they could weld, there was special time. It was the instructor was enthused about him, and sure enough, the other instructor, some of them quit, some of them didn't do well. It was a drudgery for that individual. And the story is so true because we live up to the expectations of what we truly believe. If we came on the podcast and we said, having another show, we're going to have Justin, our cameraman, he's probably going to talk a little bit about such and such. What have we done? We have not provided the right kind of enthusiasm. So we have a responsibility, and I pick upon this more than anything else. Anyone that wants to do a podcast show, you got to have the mission, the vision, and the branding. And we spend a lot of time with that.
And sort of, what is the message you want to get out, and to what audience or what
That's
community?
right.
And then you have to put that podcast into a place where it will be accessible to whatever community you're trying to reach.
You're absolutely
What
correct.
kind of different places can you put a podcast on to get out
Well,
to
I mean,
the
like
community?
Facebook, we link it to,
Would you
different
consider like
people.
YouTube medium to put podcasts on? or-
Sure. And then the trick to YouTube is putting the right tags on it. So when somebody searches for whatever kind of content, that yours will rise to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe building an audience if you can do that. Sometimes that's kind of difficult. Some people on the maybe the fringe or more rude.
Some people just
some,
searching around, and then if they have like a good tagline, they might get 800 views and then none the next time, something like that.
Well, it depends on what they're looking for. You put the tags are like markers of what when you search something in the upper bar, that's what it keys to.
Mm-hmm.
So we have about 3 minutes left. Why should somebody do a podcast? What's the benefit?
It is one of those social media outlet opportunities to get the word out. Social media is one of those technologies that has to surround events. I cannot get onto the internet and Facebook and say, hey, buy my shirts that I'm selling. You might have one or two individuals, but that's not how social media is carrying about. Social media talks about events, and it keeps your name out in place. It's just like with our podcasts here. We are hoping that listening audience, some of the listening audiences, will take a look at the University of Rio Grande. They'll take a look at what Nate's doing and Justin behind the camera. And they'll be seeing real live people as we bring in those hosts. And they'll see that we are quality, we are interested, we are those kinds of individuals that you would want your son or daughter to be associated with. So it's
What do you
event.
need to do a podcast?
Well, excellent question.
And you have 90 seconds to answer.
I'm going to answer this in the fact that we are going to be doing a 6-week, 1-hour Skype program on podcasts. And we're going to be doing that starting September 24th, 2012. And in order, what we do is we cover a variety of the different issues, etc. Skype is basically another media form that we can communicate through the computer system.
It's a communication tool.
And Mike and Nate, and fortunately Justin, when we're through with him, he will fully know about the podcast. Give us a call, and we'll talk more in detail about the podcasts and things of that nature.
If they want to get more information from you, how do they get in contact?
Best way to get in touch with me is 740-708-7810.
Okay. Well, thanks for talking about the podcasting with us. And I'm Mike.
I'm Nate.
I'm Patrick. And Justin behind the screen is going, I'm Justin.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.